Multilingual web conferencing. Doesn't that sound useful? Welcome back to another Techstination interview. I'm Fred Fishkin, and with me is Fardad Zabetian, the CEO and co-founder of a company called Kudo. Thank you for joining us.
Fred, thanks for having me.
Well, to start with, tell us a little bit of background, what Kudo is all about.
Kudo is all about one thing, the problem we've been facing for centuries, breaking language barriers, but this time we're focusing on businesses. Our vision and mission is removing language barrier, which is still the main constraint for a truly global communication for businesses. And we do it one meeting at a time.
Well, tell us about your background a bit, because that certainly plays into this.
Absolutely, happy to. So I have been in the space of multilingual meetings for about 25 years, and Kudo is my third company. I've been really passionate about language and technology, and really thinking about how we can facilitate the communication between thought leaders and innovators. So initially, I started my journey in this space with a hardware company, MediaVision, who I started back in San Francisco in 2002, where we provided equipment, technology, hardware solutions for in-person meetings. I was fascinated by how people been using our product. When initially we got the contract of renovating the United Nations in New York, which actually brought me from San Francisco to New York 10 years ago, I thought I was pretty much on the top of my career when Security Council was using our product. So world leaders on a daily basis trusting the technology powered by human professional interpreters to be able to communicate. But that didn't stop me. I really wanted to make this magic of multilingual meetings available and accessible for businesses who are not using multilingual meetings and never been using multilingual meetings because it has been only limited to matured users, traditional users of multilingual meetings. So how can I make a product easier to use, more accessible, and available for businesses? So that started the journey of Kudo back in 2017. Teamed up with subject matter expert as our co-founders, software, interpretation, and technology background. And we started building the platform and spent about 2 years of building the community and the software platform to create this new subcategory of such a fast-growing space of video conferencing, and we call it multilingual web conferencing.
So it's just like other web conferencing platforms that people are used to, including the one that we're using now, except there's a button at the bottom of the screen that lets you listen in different languages, the language of your choice. How in the world do you do that?
We are a language as a service platform. We're not a video conferencing. That drop-down menu that we're going to see momentarily, there is a lot of work behind this. There is a lot of people behind this. So in the last 4 years, we built a community of thousands of interpreters who are specialized, basically trained conference interpreters that they can do live language interpretation. We built an interface from ground up and a platform from ground up designed with one thing in our center of focus, which is multilingual meetings. So for example, when we're going to do a demo, you're going to see that when you select a language, and if it's a multilingual meetings, interpreters, they have a specific interface that they can choose different incoming and outgoing languages. And we have this cloud-based switching that you can basically select the language of your choosing and stay on that. Also, how interpreters onboarded to the platform, how they get prepped for the meeting, how they are really access to the material to deliver quality interpretation with enough time for preparation. There is a lot of work behind that. One of my co-founders, Evandro, is a former chief interpreter within the UN systems in Geneva, an interpreter himself, who, when I shared the vision of Kudo, he basically resigned from the UN and moved with his family from Geneva to New York so we can start this journey together. So we have today about 11,000 interpreters who are on our basically certified interpreter on a Kudo platform.
And how many interpreters might be on an individual call?
Depends on how many languages and the duration of the call. So if you have a 3-language meeting with a duration of 90 minutes, and let's say these languages are English, French, and Spanish, you need 2 interpreters per language. So pretty much you need 4 interpreters and 2 languages, English, Spanish, and 2 interpreters, English, French. And this way, interpreters, they get to rotate and hand over every 20, 25 minutes, depending on basically as they're doing interpretation live, after 20, 25 minutes, they tend to rotate and hand over to their colleagues.
Let's take a look at how this works.
So thank you, Fred. Think about you've invited many thought leaders on your podcast, but I'm sure there are plenty of more subject matter experts and innovators on a global level that they would love to be here and share their view, their vision with the world, but they have limited proficiency in English. So what we are making possible at Kudo is the ability for people to come in and share their ideas in their own language. And participants, they would be able to follow this in their own language. So for example, this call, Fred, is in 4 languages. On the bottom left of your screen, you have a language selector. You can actually follow what I'm saying in different languages. And this call is scheduled in 4 languages: English, Spanish, French, and Chinese. And I'm inviting Pablo, who is a native Spanish speaker, to introduce himself and talk about how Kudo enabled businesses to reach out to global audience in Spanish, very short, in less than 30 seconds. He's going to speak Spanish. For you to be able to follow his introduction, please select English if you don't speak Spanish. Go ahead, Pablo.
Gracias, Fardad.
Thank you, Fardad, and good morning, Fred. I am Pablo Ramirez, and I am a marketing manager at Kudo. As you can see, I'm speaking Spanish, which is my mother tongue. But thank you to Kudo's magic, as well as to our interpreters joining the session today, you're able to follow this conversation in your own language. Each person is able to speak his/her preferred language with no problems, and that is how we can have interactive conversations amongst businesses and people regardless of the language. So thank you once again, and back to you, Fardad.
Thank you, Pablo. So Fred, that's how it works. That's what Kudo and the magic behind Kudo.
Well, it works amazingly well, but it seems labor intensive compared with what companies like Google and others are trying to do using, I guess you would call it artificial intelligence, but having computers do the work. So tell us the business model here and why this is better.
It's just not it's better, it works. Google, Microsoft, Facebook, they've invested billions of dollars in AI for translation, voice to text, speech to text. And they've had great progress when it comes to translation. I'm just fascinated by how quick the progress is and how great it is. But still, as of today, all three of them and others using translation agencies to do their own technical documentation and business documentation. So when it comes to quality, B2B sector, and when it comes to live conversation, voice, the technology is far behind to be able to do accurate interpretation for voice during interactive conversation. There is a lot of nuance in how we speak, or emotions, or sarcasm, or body language, and how important it is for the businesses that we support to make sure that they are very clear in the communication. So we understand the power of AI, and we use AI to assist interpreters. So our AI assist is what we have now to support interpreters to prep for that meeting and provide them live context of names, units, numbers during a session. However, the delivery of interpretation is done by human interpreters.
Really interesting. So tell us how this works and who your chief customers might be for this.
So we have many large enterprises, inner government organizations using our product. Like world-class logos from NATO meetings, all of their meetings, multilingual meetings in 2020, from many UN meetings, many World Bank meetings. When it comes to global patent disputes, both in US, Europe, Asia. When it comes to board meetings, town hall meetings, we have Facebook using our product. We have Airbnb using our product. So a lot of tech companies are using product. Their CEO want to deliver messages to their global audience. When you think about technology companies, when you think about software companies, 86% of the software companies globally, they are US based. What we're making it possible for them to reach out to global partners, clients, even talents. So the idea is that we've seen how video really became the de facto of communication in the last 18 months. And the participation in online meetings is now pretty much available and possible for anybody with a proper connection and access. But still, the language remains the only challenge. So when you look at the virtual meeting platforms, when you look at all these video conferencing platforms, when you look at all the collaboration and productivity platforms, Kudo's vision is to become the passport of the global communication for any of these platforms. So you have the platform, the tool that you communicate, and Kudo is your passport for global access. And that's our vision.
How much training does it take for a person to become an interpreter, a translator with you?
Fred, I speak a couple of languages, okay? And I can tell you that being an interpreter is not about speaking multiple languages or being good at 2-3 languages. It's a lot of training. So there are conference interpreting universities and courses, master degrees. So not only they need to be native or bilingual speakers in those languages, but also they are going through extensive training to become an interpreter with a lot of experience. I don't know if you ever try to listen to a podcast and try to repeat in the same language as you're listening to. It's very difficult. Now think about, they not only do that, but they go into second language. So I'm still fascinating after these many years listening to live interpretation.
Tell us how pricing works, and is it a subscription model or a kind of a thing? Well, I need it for a particular event, and I would use Kudo.
Yeah, so we have a basically annual subscription plan depending on the volume of the usage. So, for example, Fred goes global, right? So you start having a podcast on a global stage. You bring Japanese entrepreneurs. You're gonna bring Chinese entrepreneurs on your podcast. So you're gonna have, let's say, 100 hours of bilingual podcasts moving forward. So we have a plan for you, right? Then, but also if somebody wants to use only for one event, we have a network of 40 partners with a global footprint from all the way Indonesia to California to be able to support those one-off live event meetings as well. And the cost is pretty much is the platform plus interpreters, depending on number of languages, number of hours, and the packs. So we have packs of usage. Beginning of this month, beginning of last month in February, we launched the world's first B2B marketplace where businesses, they can search, check availability, book and pay for interpreters and bring them to their multilingual meetings. This is first of its kind, where we pretty much removing all those back office pain points of booking and finding qualified interpreters for multilingual meetings. So listen, if you want to really make a solution available for masses, we got to make it easy for them to access to this very unique network of talents. And that is something we solve with our marketplace. And this is going to be a major breakthrough for us to make the product available for business users.
So business users, there are many others that if you just use your imagination a little bit, who could make use of something like this, education, healthcare, etc. So where would it start in terms of pricing? Can you give us some kind of idea for, say, a one language interpretation, someone I wanted to speak with?
We want you to be able to bring an amazing Japanese entrepreneur into your podcast for 1 hour quality call at $250, all inclusive.
And I'm able to record that and as you would any other kind of platform.
That's right.
Terrific. Well, it sounds like a real breakthrough, and I suppose fewer worries when it comes to things being translated incorrectly.
Again, it's when it comes to interpretation, it's not really similar to translation. You know, it's really communicating a clear concept of what I'm saying right now in a different language, right? So it's about the message is being across clearly. So again, this is being done live. And of course, the interpreters are prepping for that meetings. So there's a lot of prep time that needed to happen prior to that meeting, especially if it's a technical meeting, if it's a legal, medical, basically due diligence work that needs to be done. What I want to say is that it's the most accurate solution that is available, having the right material and having a qualified, vetted interpreter on the call. And we have curated a network of interpreters that are pretty much top-notch within the space of multilingual meetings.
And what do you tell business customers, I guess, in particular, who might say, well, geez, I want to have this conference and it's really important to my business, but how do I know that the information going back and forth is going to be private and secure?
Yeah, interpreters are all on basically disclosure agreement, all on NDA, restrict NDA. This is part of their major code of ethics as far as confidentiality. If any specific business, they need their own terms and so on, they can make it available, and we have interpreters to opt into that specific confidentiality. What we do at Kudo and through our marketplace is streamline this process to have a standard NDA that is pretty much acceptable by interpreters and the customers. And if somebody has any specific clauses, they can have an additional document. But again, we're talking about top secure meetings on Kudo that has been happening for the last 2 years.
Terrific. So for more information, where can people go?
Kudo.live is our website where you have access to be able to book one-on-one demos, as well as check or updates our new products, and as well as pre-recorded meetings that we have showing how the platform works.
Once again, it's kudo.live. Fardad Zabetian, thank you so much for taking the time with us.
Fred, thank you. Thanks for having me.
Now this. It takes a lot of listening to build a better radio, and that's just what the folks at C. Crane have done. Bob Crane and his crew, nestled among the rivers and tallest trees in the world in Fortuna, California, have made a habit of listening to their customers. And that's just what they've done in building the CC Skywave SSB, the Swiss Army knife of portable radios. For everyday listening to AM or FM in the yard or patio or on the nightstand without having to drain a mobile phone battery, it's a great companion. But it is also a companion equipped for NOAA weather information and alerts that can be life-saving. You can listen to FEMA and Coast Guard transmissions too. Beyond all of that, you can tune into shortwave signals from around the world. It's compact, easy to take with you, and built to last. The CC Skywave SSB. Click on the link at Techstination.com.